Well, it's Grizz. I'm out on Taffy's bike. I'm taking it out today. Gonna go to work on it. And yeah, give it a little bit of a testing. I've not really had the opportunity to ride Taffy's bike ever since we did all that work on it. And she's saying it's cutting out on her. And it did cut out on me a minute ago. We missed it before we started recording. So, well, I was recording, but I was in my street, and I'm not going to show you where I live. So that, yeah, that's why I haven't got it on camera as such. But yeah, it just cut out just as I was slowing down, put it into first, and pulled the clutch in, and it cut out. So yeah, it doesn't sound. I don't know what you guys think, but it doesn't sound quite the same to me. I've got the external mic in my big bum bag. It's like a big bum bag anyway. It's on my bum and it's a bag, so I guess it is a bum bag. So the external sound may not be as good as it usually is, but I'll try and add as good a sound representation as I can. I've got the GoPro, my GoPro 9 on the bike, and it's a bit of a funny angle. Some apologies for that. I think the tick over seems to me just a tiny bit low, but it is, the tick over on the Hayabusa is quite high. I'm more used to the Hayabusa, so anyway. Yeah, it feels a little bit, it feels very smooth, but the cut-off when you de-throttle feels quite sharp. Anyway, more testing, more riding. The weather, we've had a heat wave all this week, and it's been extremely hot. And today it's just that little bit cooler this morning on a ride into work, so that's welcomed. Just make sure I got my zip pocket closed a minute. Yes, I have. That's always good. Right, so now we've got the Nationals. Let's see how this baby feels. Feels very good, but it feels to me just slightly underpowered. I don't know what power setting Taffy's got it on. I don't want to play around with her settings because I know she has it kind of set up for her. Oh, a little bit of a stutter. But the brakes are so much improved from what they used to be. Thank you. It does feel a little bit weird. It feels a little bit like, I don't know, I'm starting to think maybe that battery we put on isn't really throwing out as good a charge as it maybe should be. I'm kind of suspicious about the battery, to be honest, because when you throttle off, the drop off of the power is quite sudden, and the tick over is low. And I do recall when I had my old ZX6R and also this bike when we had a bad battery on it, that it would have the habit of cutting out. I need to check that battery, so that would be my first port of call. That would be the most simplest and easiest kind of check. But it does feel just slightly kind of underpowered again, which would, it could be fueling, it could be electric. The only thing we have really changed on this bike is that battery. So I'll be looking at the battery, I think. But even now, I can tell this bike's not quite right, but even now it's just such a wonderful little bike to ride. It really is. Lovely little bike. And I could easily go for one of these, I really could, and it's actually good that I've come out on it, because I am thinking about what to buy next. And when I had the S1000RR, I'm going to make this bike a little bit quieter, riding along at 60, I mean this bike, riding along at 30 in the 6th gear, again it can do it. This bike is such a easy bike to ride, and very forgiving bike. Part of the reason why we bought it for Taffy. But anyway, coming back to the whole weight thing, poppity Taffy, your bike's such a badass. Coming back to the old weight subject, yeah, I could go for something a lot lighter. I love the Hayabusa. The Hayabusa is like the other end of the weight scale and power. I mean, the power on the Hayabusa is immense, but this little puppy, I know when it's working properly, it's certainly powerful enough. Excuse me. Anyway, again, here we go. Sorry, I'll come back to the whole weight thing. Let's give it a little bit of juice. Much better, those brakes. And I think it just feels a little bit underpowered. I don't know, it needs a good checking over, I reckon, that battery. So anyway, yes, let's get back to some kind of sane riding. Yeah, I want to kind of, I think I get quite tempted to go back to something lighter. And when I compare this bike to the Hayabusa, it's just so I love the kind of the lack of weight, and the kind of, it still has that attitude with the sound of this amazingly sweet ZX6R 636 engine. It's just a beautiful little singer of an engine. But I could really go for something a lot lighter. And I think, and maybe it's just me getting older, and maybe it's me because I've also not been really having a great time of it health-wise, and been not feeling quite as strong as I used to at times. Then I feel something like a 600 I could easier to push in and out of the garage by a long shot than the Hayabusa, and just easier to ride on our roads, you know, and the kind of riding on the road in general is, you know, it's filled with a lot more situations where you need to be in the right gear. Yeah, it's kind of, you need something which you can flip about, throw about, and kind of have something which is quite agile on the road. I mean, the Hayabusa is super agile when you consider its weight, but you cannot really compare the two, a Hayabusa and a ZX6R. You can, but they are very much worlds apart in forms of weight, and at the moment, definitely performance. But the thing I've always loved about this bike is that you can wring its neck, and I mean it's capable. This thing will do 180 odd mile an hour when pushed to its very limit. But you can wring this thing's neck a bit more and just feel like you're actually using that engine a bit more, getting through the rev range. That was the frustration I've always had with the big liter bikes, is that in order to feel like you're actually riding them, you have to be doing 2 or 3 times the speed limit. And given the right road, it's okay, I guess. Well, it's not okay, it's illegal. But given the wrong road, it can get you into a lot of trouble a lot of the time. You know, I mean, for me, actually, I don't know, I could probably be a lot happier on a smaller bike, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know, I love the Hayabusa. I'm going round and round in circles, and you always will, and that is why, I guess, I have those types of bikes in the garage. But yeah, there's a lot to be said for a lighter bike. Now, up ahead of me is quite funny. I've got a biker. Now, I don't usually kind of make a thing about this, but I've got a biker ahead of me, and this guy, like, prolifically speeds every morning. There he goes, he's off. But I mean, I don't hang around ever. But this guy, like, goes through 30s and 40s at really high speeds. I mean, I was cruising along here the other day, maybe about this speed with the rest of the cars, not overtaking anything. I was just chilling, and he bombed past me and caught me unaware. And I thought, oh god, he's going quite quick. To the point I went and caught him up and overtook him on traffic lights. But yeah, the funny thing was I was going through the little village back there yesterday morning, and I thought, everyone was doing 30, and he was in front of me, and I thought, I'm just gonna nip past, because there's a 40 just up ahead, and I'm gonna nip it up to 40. And I did that, and I know it's naughty, and I shouldn't, and I usually always stay in my 30s, 40s and 50s. National speed limits, I give it a bit, but I decided I was going to have a little bit of a one-upmanship on him and take him. Be it right or wrong, in a 30 zone, just before a 40 zone, I nipped it up to 40 and got in front of him. So yeah, I done that, and then it turned into kind of him trying to get in front of me all the way into work, and he literally works next door to where I work, but I don't think he realises this. And we stopped on a roundabout of traffic. Sorry, we stopped on the traffic lights, and he called me over, and I kind of pulled over to him. Look, he's riding so sensible now this morning. Typical. He told me to do him a favour and keep the speeds down in the village. He said, that's my village, I live there. And I was like, all right, yeah, no problem, mate. I said, by the way, I said, you pissed past me in a 30 the other day. And he just kind of scoffed at me and looked away in disgust. But I don't know. I mean, I'm going. Sounds so good, this bike. Scoffer. So yeah, double standards. I mean, at what point do we all just say, you're riding it through my village? And I agree with that, totally. So if you're going to go slow in your own village, go slow in everyone else's village. And I don't mean slow, stick to the speed limit. And that is what I usually always do. And yesterday I rose to the temptation to have a victory against him. And I did. As immature as it was. But there we go, I can be a little bit immature at times. See, there it goes, she's cut out. I reckon it's the battery. But anyway, it's Friday, guys. Time for work. Minute Vauxhall. First time I've brought the ZX6R into work. Boppy, like that. So peeps, I'm back out on my way home after a day's work. It's been a long one, but anyway, yeah, I've made some changes to the ZX6R to tap his bike. I've changed the settings. I've put it up onto the power setting onto full power and changed the traction control onto 1. I didn't want to switch it off. I just want to see. I mean, I don't mind riding it with it switched off, but Taff is probably not going to ride with it switched off. I just think it's ticking over a little bit low. But yeah, I started it up and it stalled kind of itself on startup a couple of times, but then a little bit of gas and it was fine. So yeah, not sure what's going on with this. I got a funny feeling it's the battery, so that's what I'm going to check out later. I wasn't able to do anything like that today because I was too busy working. Traffic is nuts, and there is your typical heat wave rider with shorts and t-shirts on. Thank you, mate. Yeah, what's your thoughts on that, guys? I was having a conversation with my old buddy, my good buddy, not my old buddy, with my buddy Phil. Go check Phil out at Western Supermoto Vlogs. Yeah, and we were discussing, like, you know, is it the right etiquette? Not etiquette even. Is it kind of, what's your views on, like, not wearing protective clothing in this kind of heat wave? I mean, for me, I've got a little bit of a commute, and I just feel it would be silly not to wear proper kit, regardless of what the weather's doing. So I've been wearing my proper kit all the time. I mean, this hoodie allows a little bit more air in, but it's still got body armour in. It's still got a good long back protector in, shoulders and elbows. So yeah, I think that is a bare probably minimum I would go with. A good helmet, good pair of gloves, good pair of boots, and yeah, I've got my protective jeans on, which I use a lot of the time. They're not as good as leather, but it's not really too bad considering the kind of riding I'm doing. So yeah, what's your thoughts? If you go to Ibiza or any kind of Mediterranean place where people hire all these scooters, we're all riding around in our shorts and t-shirt, aren't we? And I must admit, when Taffy and I did the tour and we spent a week in Croatia, we were riding around the bike in shorts and t-shirts. So yeah, I know it's not a sensible move, but we were literally like toddling around. Is it safe to toddle around in shorts and t-shirts? I have seen someone tearing around in shorts and t-shirts. That, I think, is just asking for trouble, isn't it, really? But the temptation in these weathers is just to go with it because it's too hot to put the kit on. But I'm more of a wear the kit, ride for the full isn't it? Something like that, I don't know. Not to be cool, I don't know. That's probably completely saying is completely wrong, and I'm talking complete rubbish. But yeah. I mean, if you're kind of going around town on your bike, is it safe? You know, we all used to do it. When you think about it, you know, when you go back to when we were kids, we used to ride our mountain bikes or push bikes and our go-karts with like zero protection, and it wasn't unusual really as kids for us to kind of come off our bikes or, you know, crash our very unsafe homemade little kind of go-karts, which are basically kind of wooden boxes with wheels attached to it. And yeah, things would go wrong, and you would go down the road and you would take a couple of layers of skin off, and it wasn't unusual to see the white of your flesh and some blood. So like, you know, we grew up with that when I was a kid anyway, back in the 70s. That was kind of the norm and acceptable. Let's turn my indicator off. So yeah, what about it in these high temperatures? If we kept to sensible speeds, something like this, is it safe to wear shorts and t-shirt? You're probably, even at 30, you're gonna mess yourself up a fair old bit. I did have an off years ago, many years ago now, on my ZX6R 750, and I just started turning into a corner, and the road was covered in diesel, and the bike violently went away from me, and I landed in the riding position on the tarmac, hands and knees straight on the tarmac. I wasn't doing no more than 30. I was wearing all my kit and just a normal pair of jeans, and there was no damage to my jeans. I felt okay at the time. Got up, brushed myself down, picked the bike up, rode into work, and said, oh dear, never mind, these things happen. But it wasn't until I got to work that my knees started hurting, and basically the friction from the sliding along the road going through my jeans, it had caused so much heat that it had actually burnt my knees, and yeah, that wasn't really too good. That affected me for about a month. It was just like getting really severe burns on your knees. I couldn't even bend my flipping legs, they were so burnt. It wasn't good. So that experience for me would kind of really quite strongly put me off. These jeans, I've got my knee protectors in them as well, so if anything like that happens, it's going to give me that much more of a kind of protection as such. And I would be struggling to kind of go with less protection than that. I would really struggle now to go with a pair of kind of shorts on for sure. Well, what do you reckon, peeps? Anyway, Taffy's bike. It's a little bit more power there. It was in low power when I rode it this morning. It was in the low setting, or L, and traction was on 2 or 3. I'm not sure now. I'll have to go back and have a look through the footage. But anyway, so I've, like I said, changed these settings. See if we can find a bit of straight road. I'm going to see if it feels a little bit more powerful. But I'm kind of thinking at the moment it's that flipping battery. And this is a great bike because not only can you, like, does it make you feel like you're doing 100 mile an hour just through the tone of that engine and the exhaust on this bike. It's happy cruising at normal speeds. You can put it up into 6th, and it's not completely boring. You can still hear that engine. But if you want to mix it up, drop it down 2 or maybe 3, and yeah, it goes off like a scolded cat. that, I think there's definitely more power there. It just feels like something's just holding the bike back a little bit. I could really be very happy on one of these. They're such a lot of fun. Just feels like the bike wants, it's like a lot of engine braking. Almost feels like a fueling problem. Could have swore we done a little jump then. And had a fly in my eye too. Oh my god, such a lot of fun, this bike. Such a lot of very naughty fun. Oh my god, so exhilarating, this bike. And I tell you what it is, it's bloody fast, but it's not too fast that it scares you, but it doesn't completely think this is like ridiculously stupid. I mean, it is stupid, but it's not. It's just in that kind of realm of thinking, okay, I'm still in control of this. It's not too heavy a bike. It doesn't have too much of a overwhelming presence that it doesn't feel like you cannot control it, even at such speeds of acceleration. But it just sounds so bloody good. It's like riding a MotoGP bike. It's just phenomenal riding bike. Really is. And I think I could really quite happily go for one of these as one of my permanent bikes. This is Taffy's bike. I could never take it away from her as a permanent use. I use it once in a while when I need to, I guess, but otherwise it's hers. And this is me just testing it out for her and making sure everything's okay with it. And as you can see, I'm not 100% sure on this, but on its running, but it's still running like a beast. And where are you going to go? Thank you. And it's almost like these tyres are getting grippy. I think they are. They're getting like, because it feels like the tyre is actually gripping that road. They're bloody good tyres. Very impressive bike. Taffy, you are a very one lucky person. Grizz might have to get one too. But anyway, guys, that is enough of that. I'm going to have a little play with Taffy's bike, see if we can sort out this kind of stalling, cutting out issue. But it's still an amazing bike, an absolute fantastic bike that is super exciting to ride. It really is. And very easy bike to ride again. And yeah, pleasure, absolute pleasure. Anyway, peeps, much love. Catch you on the next one. Bye bye.